All right, welcome everyone. I hope everyone is having a great afternoon wherever you're calling in from. My name is Raymond Partolin. I use he, him pronouns, and I work as the National Field Director here at Asian and Pacific Islander American Vote, or APIAVote for short. Again, thank you for joining us. APIAVote is a national nonpartisan organization committed to increasing civic participation among Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders all around the country, and we do that by working with our partners across 28 states. And we're happy that you're all here. So just a couple of quick notes about the technology for our webinar today. As you can see, we are in a Zoom meeting right now instead of a Zoom webinar. This way we can all see each other and talk to each other. We want this training to be as interactive as possible. So if at any point you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question out loud, or you can put your question in the chat. Do leave yourself muted if you're not speaking, though, in order to reduce the background noise for everyone else. Today's meeting is being recorded in active speaker view, which means that you will not be in the recording unless you come off mute and speak. Subtitles are available for today's webinar. If you need this accommodation, simply click live transcript at the bottom of your screens and enable this feature. You can also hide the subtitles by clicking hide subtitle. If you have any questions or tech issues during our webinar today, feel free to let me know via a direct message in the chat or reach out to my colleague, Mike Messina, who you'll see in the participant list. And the last thing, we are going to be sending out this recording and the slide deck for our webinar today after today's webinar. So don't feel the need to take copious notes during the meeting. We are going to be sending all of these materials out for folks. And if you're joining us virtually in the recording after today's webinar, welcome to you as well. We appreciate you for tuning in. So just wanted to quickly run through our agenda for today. So we're going to talk about what the civic holidays are and what that means for all of us here and what that means for all of you. Then we're going to go into some best practices around rolling out an effective voter registration drive, especially because the first civic holiday is National Voter Registration Day, and that's happening in just a few weeks on Tuesday, September 20th. And then we're going to go into effective strategies for engaging with youth in our networks. And I'm at that point, I'm going to be excited to welcome our youth program manager here at APIAVote, Julie Wu. And we're going to be talking about engaging youth in National Voter Registration Day. After that, we are excited to have with us our special guest, Eric Zhang, who is the Director of Outreach at the Asian Community Development Council in Las Vegas, Nevada, who is going to talk about his organization's efforts on National Voter Registration Day and the other civic holidays. And then at that point, we're going to cut off our recording and we're going to enter into a discussion and Q&A in case you all have any questions or want to bounce some ideas off of each other on your civic holidays plans this year. So with all that said, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with an overview of the civic holidays. What are the civic holidays anyway? So here on your screen, you'll see a list of the 4 civic holidays that are happening this year. If you are interested in signing up to partner with APIAVote on any of these 4 holidays, go ahead and scan that QR code in the top left of your screen, or you can click any of these links on your screen to sign up for any of these specific civic holidays whenever you get the slide deck in your email after today's webinar. So the first civic holiday is National Voter Registration Day. It's happening on Friday, September 20th. Then we have National Voter Education Week, which is happening from Monday, October 3rd through Friday, October 7th. Then we get into Vote Early Day, which is happening on Friday, October 28th. And then Election Hero Day, which is on Monday, November 7th. So as you can see, these 4 holidays are connected to one another, and they each deal with a different aspect of the voting process. So we've got voter registration, voter education, voter turnout, and then finally celebrating the people who help our elections run year after year, our election workers, poll workers, and election officials. So we're going to talk about each of these in greater detail. So we're going to go ahead and move on from this slide. So again, the first civic holiday that's happening is National Voter Registration Day. It is happening on Tuesday, September 20th. Again, in just a few short weeks. National Voter Registration Day is a national day of action with a coordinated day of events to share registration opportunities before the state deadlines. Since 2012, nearly 4.5 million people have registered to vote on National Voter Registration Day, including 1.5 million people in 2020 alone. So based on our observations, as many as 1 in 4 eligible Americans are not registered to vote. And millions of Americans miss elections each year because of voter registration problems or missing the deadline to register to vote. We all know that our democracy works best when more of us participate. So we have to make sure that we are registering as many people as we can and ensuring that people have the information that they need in order to register to vote in whatever state they're in. And you all are trusted messengers. You all have unique and trusted relationships in your community, and you have the power to help change this and ensure that more and more people in our community are registered to vote. So National Voter Registration Day is a really easy holiday to plug into and to organize around because it is a singular day of action that you can plan all of your efforts towards. So if you don't do any other voter registration activity this year as an organization or as an individual, I would highly encourage you to partner with us on National Voter Registration Day. Doing so will get you the information and the resources that you need in order to plan a successful activation. National Voter Registration Day is a partner-driven effort. This means that we rely on all of you in order to help make this work. Every year, thousands of partners participate. This includes nonprofits, university campuses, high school campuses, youth groups, libraries, election offices, companies, and so many more different kinds of organizations. So no matter what kind of organization you're a part of, or if you're a college student or a high school student, there is an opportunity for you to plug in to National Voter Registration Day. You can organize a community event on that day, post on social media, conduct outreach to your employees or to your employee resource group. And you can also hold online events and webinars and leverage your network in order to reach and register voters. So the opportunities here are limitless, and all it takes is some creativity on your part, and we're happy to brainstorm with you to figure out what kind of activation works best for your organization. So by signing up to partner on National Voter Registration Day, you'll receive free swag, including National Voter Registration Day 2022 branded posters and stickers. There's also support on your communications and your social media. There are live training webinars available, state-specific resources, field organizer guides, and we will also happily honor and publicly uplift your work, thereby driving additional engagement and traffic to your organization. So it doesn't matter if your organization has a lot of experience in voting related work or not a lot of experience. We support partners of all experience levels. So National Voter Education Week is a whole week-long week of action. It's happening again from Monday, October 3rd through Friday, October 7th. It's going to be a week-long digital campaign with events streamed on various platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And during this week, voters are going to learn the information that they need in order to confidently and successfully cast their ballots this year. So while National Voter Registration Day is about voter registration, National Voter Education Week is about making sure that voters have all of the information that they need in order to vote. And each day of the week has a different theme attached to it related to voting. So Monday's theme is #VoteReady. So the idea here is that we build excitement around the importance of voting. This includes voter registration and establishing identity as a voter. The call to action on Monday of voter registration, National Voter Education Week, is going to be to make sure that we are ready to vote, that we're registered, that we've updated our voter registration status. That means that if we've moved or if our name has changed, for any reason, that we've updated our voter registration record to indicate that before the voter registration deadline in your state. Tuesday's theme is #MailReady. So the idea here is that if a voter in our community is choosing to vote by mail, that they have the information in order to do that. And the call to action on Tuesday is going to be to request a mail-in ballot or an absentee ballot, depending on what state they're in. The theme for Wednesday of National Voter Education Week is #VotePlanReady. So the idea is that the voter is going to learn all of the different options that they have available to them in order to cast their ballot, whether it's voting by mail, voting in person early, or voting in person on election day, which is the last day to vote, and what is needed for each. And the call to action for Wednesday is going to be make a plan to vote. So Thursday's theme is #BallotReady. The idea here is that we direct voters to resources where they can find out what is on their ballot and where they can find information about the candidates that they're going to be voting for. So the call to action is going to be to access a sample ballot and to research the items on a voter's ballot. And then Friday's theme is #ElectionReady. So this is the culmination of the entire week. And the idea is to build community and to bring our friends and family into the fold so that they too plan to vote this year, which is a very important election year. The call to action here is to triple our vote, meaning we encourage our friends, our family members, our colleagues to also register to vote and cast a ballot this year, to perhaps serve as a poll worker at the polling place, or to conduct some poll monitoring or poll watching. So National Voter Education Week is another great opportunity to get involved because it's fully virtual. You can post on social media, you can host an online webinar, and you also have the option of hosting an in-person event should you choose during that week. Again, a really easy week to plug into. You don't have to plan something for every day of the week, although you're more than welcome to. You're welcome to just plan an event for one of these days, depending on which theme resonates the most with you and your organization. So Vote Early Day is happening on Friday, October 28th this year. Vote Early Day is a nonpartisan movement of businesses, nonprofits, election officials, influencers, and tech companies dedicated to making sure that all Americans know about and take advantage of their options to vote early. It's our goal to create a culture around the idea that election day is the last day to vote and not the only day to vote. Vote Early Day was launched in 2020 after learning from other successful holidays like National Voter Registration Day. And Vote Early Day was created to be a unified day of action focused on making sure that Americans know all of their options to vote early. So many folks do an amazing job of registering people to vote and getting them ready to cast a ballot. However, while only 70% of Americans are registered to vote, only 50% turned out to vote in the last midterm election. So this is going to be an even bigger challenge in a year like 2022, when we just had a big presidential election in 2020. So it's important for us to keep up the momentum that we built in 2020 and make sure that people are coming out to vote again or coming out to vote for the first time. So this is why Vote Early Day plays such a critical role in getting Americans to cast their ballots early. And the good news is we know that Americans like voting early. People like the option of mailing in their ballot, dropping it off, or showing up in person at a local election center. And voters also want their elections to be safe and secure, and voting early has proven that it can be that. And election leaders from both sides of the aisle widely support voting early. In 7 states, the number of API folks voting early increased by over 50% in 2020. And in 8 states, the number of API folks voting early doubled. And in 41 states, the API vote early numbers actually surpassed the general voter population in 2020. And nationally, compared to 2016, the number of Asian American voters voting early nearly doubled, more than doubled at 191%. So there was a 191% increase of API folks voting early in 2020 compared to 2016. So voting early ensures that Americans don't have to choose between their health and their civic duty amidst this ongoing pandemic. And vote early options ensure that busy schedules or lines on election day don't prevent voters from casting their ballot. So this is why we want to encourage as many folks as possible to vote early, so that if they have issues with their ballot, they have enough time to be able to correct that and ensure that their ballot is counted. So Vote Early Day is an open campaign, and everyone is welcome to engage in their own unique way. Here are 4 possibilities for ways to activate. You can plan COVID-proof community activations on Vote Early Day, such as a car parade to the polls or maybe an at-home ballot party. You can also spread the word about vote early options on social media and through your networks. You can recruit poll workers for vote early dates and on election day to make sure that our polling locations are fully staffed. And you can support individuals in making plans to vote early and researching their ballots. So by signing up to partner with APIAVote on Vote Early Day, you'll receive a number of resources like toolkits, technology tools for requesting ballots, finding your early voting locations, and mailing ballots. We're also happy to provide webinars for your company or for your organization on changes in election law and on developing your activation. Consolidated information on local elections, swag bags, and recognition and uplifting your efforts. So again, Vote Early Day is one of those civic holidays that you can easily plug into in order to encourage people in our community to turn out to vote, and especially to turn out to vote early. And then finally, that brings us to Election Hero Day, which is happening on Monday, November 7th this year. And basically, Election Hero Day is all about celebrating the people that help keep our elections running. Our poll workers, our election officials, our poll managers. And your activation on Election Hero Day can really look like anything you want it to look like. What we've seen in the past is folks would perhaps draw sidewalk chalk outside of polling places, celebrating election officials, thanking them for all of their work and for sustaining and keeping American democracy afloat. You can also prepare thank you cards or maybe even gift baskets for your local election officials. Anything to make them feel appreciated so that they continue doing this important work for many years to come. So this is another holiday that you can plug into if this is something that you are interested in. So we're now going to transition quickly into rolling out an effective voter registration drive. Turning voters out starts with registering them. And the reason that we wanted to hone in on this specifically is because National Voter Registration Day is right around the corner. It's coming up again on Tuesday, September 20th, and we want to make sure that everyone is prepared to host an effective voter registration drive on that day. So the 5 rules for a successful voter registration drive is 1, to know the rules for your state and to set effective goals for your organization's efforts on National Voter Registration Day. The second is to make a plan. Then you want to recruit and train volunteers that are going to help staff your plans for National Voter Registration Day. 4th, you want to keep good records. And 5th, you want to make sure that you double check your work, because we are going to be dealing with people's voter registration. We want to make sure that everyone makes it onto the voter rolls and they can successfully cast a ballot this year with no issues. So getting into some of these details, the first rule for a successful voter registration drive is knowing the rules. So the rules are going to be different depending on what state you're in. They vary greatly. Some states have same-day voter registration. Other states have an actual voter registration deadline. So I would encourage you, depending on what state you live in, to check the rules for your particular state. Our partners over at the Fair Election Center have developed specific voter registration day guides for all 50 states, including the District of Columbia. And you can access those voter registration guides here at the link that I just dropped in the chat. Or if you are checking out the slide deck or the recording after today's webinar, you can click this link in the PDF or scan this QR code. Secondly, you want to set SMARTY goals for your efforts on National Voter Registration Day. SMARTY goals are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-bound, inclusive, and equitable. And you want your goals to align with your organization's mission. So while you want to challenge yourself to register as many voters as you can on National Voter Registration Day, try and be mindful of what your organization has been able to accomplish in the past. And if you're new to National Voter Registration Day, set a goal that makes the most sense for your organization. And keep in mind that if you're hosting a physical voter registration drive or a site-based voter registration drive in person, generally you can count on 1 voter being able to register 3 people per hour. So think about how many volunteers you're able to recruit for National Voter Registration Day, and then perhaps set your goals around the number of volunteers that you have committed. Next, you want to make sure that you have a plan. So we've already talked about goals. That's going to include voter registration goals. It's also going to include the number of volunteers that you need in order to meet your goals and hopefully surpass your goals. The number of activities that you want to plan for National Voter Registration Day. Perhaps you want to do an in-person event in addition to a virtual event on that day. Think about any partners that you want to bring in from your local community. Maybe you want to bring in partners that serve other racial or ethnic groups. Think about your budget. National Voter Registration Day does have some mini grants available for organizations that are interested in receiving some kind of funding support for their efforts. Think about your timeline, and then perhaps for National Voter Registration Day, or if you're planning on doing a more extended voter registration effort this year, having an organizational chart just so people know where to turn to if there are questions about anything related to your voter registration campaign. Then you want to make sure that you train your volunteers. So if you are registering people to vote in person, on site, maybe at an Asian grocery store or outside of a library or a school, make sure that your volunteers are all familiar with the rules for your state. The last thing that we want to do is try and register someone to vote who may not be eligible to vote. So we want to make sure that the people that we're registering are actually eligible. When we're training our volunteers, we want to instill in people the purpose of the activity and its connection to our overall goal of increasing civic participation among our community members. You want to make sure that your volunteers have packets available to them with all of the information that they're going to need in order to register voters, like voter registration forms, a frequently asked questions sheet, and also make sure that you're clear with your volunteers about what the expectations are for your particular activity. It's always helpful when you're training volunteers to have a role play rap. This isn't when you you take turns rapping at each other. This is when you role play and take turns pretending to register each other, so that when they do get to the site and they're registering voters, they feel confident and ready to be able to register new voters. And then you want to catapult or send them out into their shift, check them in, and then check them out. Make sure that when you check your volunteers out of their shift, if it is an in-person voter registration drive, that you're collecting all of those voter registration applications. You're making sure that they're all fully filled out. And you have a way to get in touch with your volunteers if you have any questions about the voter registration applications that they collected. You want to make sure that you keep good records. It's important to set up a system where you're tracking the number of volunteers that you have, the number of voters that you registered, where voter registration applications came from. And you want to keep all of your voter registration cards in one physical location if you're collecting physical voter registration cards, because the last thing that you want is for voter registration cards to get lost, and then a voter or a potential voter who has entrusted you and your organization to register them to vote so they can vote this year ends up not getting on the voter rolls. That's the last thing that we want. So we want to make sure that we are safeguarding those voter registration applications as much as we can. And we want to submit the physical voter registration cards as immediately as we can after the voter registration event. And make sure to follow your state's rules and regulations for the timeline on when they should be submitted and how they should be submitted. Lastly, you want to double check your work. So if there's anything on a voter registration application that is unclear or anything like that, make sure that you follow up with potential voters in order to confirm the information for them, and get their permission. If something is illegible on their voter registration application, get their permission for you to be able to correct that or make it more legible on their application before you submit it. You want to make sure that you conduct quality assurance on your database. That just means that you want to make sure that you're keeping tabs on all of the people that you're registering to vote so that you can engage with them again when it does come time for them to be able to vote. And then lastly, for your volunteers, when they're at the voter registration site, remind them to be proactive. This means that you want them to approach people. Don't have them just sit behind a table with their arms crossed, looking down at their phone and barely glancing up at the people walking by. You want your volunteers to be standing up around and in front of the table to make sure that that you're catching everyone who walks by so that you can ask them if you can help them register to vote. Make sure that your volunteers are prepared to talk about issues that they and the people that you're potentially registering care about. And then don't be afraid to practice your voter registration rap. That is the initial script that you give for folks when you're registering them to vote. And then finally, I just wanted to quickly go over some common mistakes on voter registration applications. So depending on the state that you live in, the application might ask for the county that the individual is registering to vote at. Make sure that in that box, they're actually writing the county and not the country. We've seen this happen many, many times before where people will write USA or United States of America in the county box. In the date of birth box, make sure that they put their date of birth and not today's date. If the individual that you're registering has a long name, make sure that their name fits in the box. This gets more complicated when the voter registration application has individual boxes for each letter. So just be mindful of that. On every single voter registration application, it's going to ask you to check if you are a U.S. citizen and if you are over the age of 18 or will be by election day. Make sure that those boxes are checked. These are two boxes that I would not feel comfortable checking on my own after the voter if they leave that unchecked. So make sure that before the potential voter leaves your voter registration drive, that is being checked off. Make sure that all of the text is legible. Make sure that the voter signs the application. Many times I've seen potential voters complete a voter registration application just to forget to sign at the bottom. So make sure that everyone signs, that the last name is inserted into the correct box and the first name is inserted into the correct box. And when you're completing a voter registration application, make sure you use either a black ink or a blue ink pen. And then lastly, we do have a voter registration tool available at our website. It is available at www.apiavote.org/register. The tool is available in several different Asian languages. So feel free to pass that around to folks who need to register to vote. And also you can use that if you decide to do a virtual or an online voter registration drive on National Voter Registration Day, September 20th. And don't forget to pledge to vote yourself. If you're already registered to vote, make sure you plan to vote this year. Let us know if you plan to vote by taking the pledge. And after you take the pledge to vote, we would encourage you to take the vote tripling pledge, which is when, again, you encourage your friends and your family members and your colleagues to vote as well, so you can triple the impact of your vote. So you can access these pledges by clicking on any of the links that I dropped in the chat. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Julie, our youth program manager here at APIAVote, to talk about some best practices on National Voter Registration Day, specifically for youth. So Julie, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thanks so much, Raymond. Hi, everyone. My name is Julie. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the youth programs manager here at APIAVote. I see a lot of college students on this call. I know that not everyone here is a student, but just want to give a shout out to all the ambassadors who joined the call. Raymond, if you could go to the next slide for me, that would be great. Okay, so I'm just here to talk a little bit more about best practices when we're thinking about National Voter Registration Day specifically, because that is the first civic holiday that's coming up. Hopefully these can also be applicable to the other initiatives that you all have planned for the other civic holidays if you do participate. But let's just dive right into it. The very first one that I have, Raymond has already covered this, but definitely want to encourage you all to sign up to be an NVRD partner ASAP. If you're signed up as a partner, they'll actually send you free stickers and posters and other materials that you can give out to people or post out around your dorms or wherever you might be able to get the attention of other students. And so definitely want to make sure that you all sign on as soon as possible. The website is here, and Raymond also has it linked in the chats. If you are engaging with folks who are limited English proficiency, there are also some in-language materials on their website. So definitely check that out. You can print out your own stickers and your own posters for free as well. The second best practice I want to bring up is making some noise early on. So tomorrow is September, which is wild. And that means, we only have 20 days until NVRD. So just make sure that you start posting about that now. If you have initiatives already planned, start putting out your dates, start putting out your posters. There are a lot of materials that are already on the website as well. So a recurring theme that you're going to hear from me is check the NVRD website, because there is a lot of really great material and resources on there. Some hashtags that we use are hashtag vote ready and hashtag National Voter Registration Day. So if you are posting on social media, make sure that you utilize those so that we can find you. Other organizations that are participating in NVRD can also find your posts and help amplify them. Number 3 and 4, okay, so identifying other groups who will be participating in National Voter Registration Day. This is really big effort that everybody participates in. I know Snapchat is usually on board, Instagram, Facebook, and so NVRD is a pretty big deal. And so really identifying the other folks who are participating, who will be doing different initiatives and not competing with them, but working with them. If you're on a campus, trying to figure out where they're going to be tabling or where they're going to have their event. And if you already have yours established, sharing that with them as well, so you all can figure out who's going to take what. Figure out who's your target audience, who's their target audience. What are ways that you all might be able to collaborate rather than stepping on each other's toes? Because the point of the effort is to register as many voters as possible. And then fourth, identify the groups who you know is not participating in National Voter Registration Day. I don't know, some of your organizations might have like pre-established collaborations with other organizations. You might just know of other organizations that bring in a lot of folks, but might not be planning to do any voter registration on September 20th. Bring them into your movement, like really invite them to co-host your events, maybe help volunteer, bring in their general body. It's just a really good opportunity to collaborate and hopefully build those relationships for further collaboration. Next slide, Raymond. National Voter Registration Day on their website this year, they also have like put it on the map section where they have like a registry. So if you already have your event established and you have the details, go ahead and register it directly on that website. And then as you can see, they have an interactive map where folks can take a look at all the different events that are going on in their state. And then you can also learn about what's going on. Maybe if you see another event on campus that you didn't know about, that's a good avenue to kind of reach out. Next slide, Raymond. And then the final slide of my best practices, kind of 101 guides. Be shameless. Like, if you're asking folks, are you registered to vote? And they just say yes, and they're trying to like blow you off. Just be bold, be shameless, and have a pocket ask available. And what a pocket ask means is just to have like additional questions in your pocket to like bring out in case they're like, yeah, I already registered. You don't end the conversation there. One really good one is to ask, will you pledge to vote in this election? And to ask it like that, instead of like, would you like to pledge to vote? There's a little bit more accountability in the way that you ask the question. And so I have the bit.ly on the screen. I know Raymond has also dropped it in the chat from when he was giving his part of the presentation. So really asking folks to pledge to vote so that we can contact them before the elections and make sure that they are ready to vote. Another question that you can have available is, would you like to volunteer with us in the future? So bringing other folks into the movement and having them help out with future initiatives, because volunteer recruitment, let's be real, it's one of the most challenging parts of the process. Have fun and engage your volunteers. So don't neglect them. If you have your volunteer base established at your training, have food included in your budget. Like make sure you feed them, make sure you have fun with them, make sure you engage. It's serious work, but not serious enough to not have fun. So build an environment where folks can come back again and again and join the movement. And lastly, take photos and videos at your table or your event if possible. It's always really nice to have documentation of your events, whether it's for future events, whether it's just to inspire, like other events in the future. I know throughout the pandemic, we sometimes went back and looked at like what folks did before the pandemic, because that kind of gets lost as people graduate, as like college campuses have a large turnover. So even if you're not on a college campus, it's just a really good idea to document your events. And so we just have a few photos here from this is from 2018, I believe, but there's a photo from Pocky and Politics. There's a photo from Binghamton University, and then also Irvine University doing voter registration work. And yeah, that's what I have in the best practices. Feel free to leave any questions that you might have. We also have Q&A at the end. And I'll turn it over to Eric. Next slide.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Eric Zhang. I'm the Director of Outreach for Asian Community Development Council for ACDC. And today, I'm pretty excited to share what we have done in the last couple of years. I've been in this position for 4.5 years. So coming up, I will be able to do my 18, 19, 20. Sorry, I still have to count with my fingers. It will be my 5th National Voter Registration Day, or we call the Civic Festival, this next month. So you already see we are doing we paid for the licensing, got a mini grant to screen everything everywhere all at once. with the GOAT, Auntie Michelle Yeoh. She's not gonna be here. We're just watching our movie. But for us, that's the free food. We're gonna have petting zoo. We're gonna have a live DJ, and it's gonna be fun. We are partnering with our local county commission, so it saves us a lot of time in terms of logistics and operations to find a space. I think the best thing we can do, the next 5 points, I'm going to talk about how to put up a fun event that makes sense, that's not going to break the bank, that's going to have punching above your weight when it comes to civic engagement. Here are some of my secret sauce, my tips that I have. So I saw in the introduction, a lot of you are part of college campus or in the youth organizing stuff. So first, when we talk about voter registration, when we're talking about people to vote, we always think about who are the people that needs to register. There are a couple input, if you think in systems, couple input of the voter registration. Of course, the first one is people that come of age, people that are turning 18 and eligible to vote. So for us to think about now, I just have a team right now that just passed through my office. They're going back on campus because this is back to school week. We have people at dorms talking to folks and giving out free COVID test kits, and return talking to our college freshmen why it's important to vote. And especially not just freshmen, a lot of people are moving to different dorms or off-campus housing. It makes sense for us to be able to encourage them to vote, and partnering with the school, with the residential hall, and also with the student union, with student government. But that's the first thing. We are very lucky here in Nevada. I'm based in Vegas. I think a couple other states have that as pre-registration. That means when people turn 17, they can pre-register to vote. That gives us a perfect excuse to go and talk to high school AP Gov teacher, civics teacher, and we go in there, we coordinate it, and we register the entire senior class. We register them to vote or pre-register them to vote. So it's fun. Like my record was 650 voter registration in one single day. So the youth part, we partner with Key Club, with DECA, with different groups that makes sense, and being able to bring it. So the second point that we're thinking in systems, if people are aging in to become new voters, the other part is people that become US citizens through naturalization. So a big thing that we do is talk to our local USCIS field office. Everywhere has, I think major city have that, and asking if it's okay to table at the oath ceremonies. We haven't had a lot of luck recently. I think I saw on Twitter, a Dodger Stadium hosted like 2,000 people registering to vote. I know that for us, our soccer team, the Las Vegas Lights, it's not even MLS, just like a soccer team. They hosted 700 people to do naturalization at the same time. And I feel like it will haunt me forever to not being able to get it approved in time because COVID concern, because all the different concern that we couldn't send our folks there. So that's a missed opportunity for me, but I think this is a very localized case by case thing. You have to talk to USCIS and whatever federal court that was administering that. If you can get that, it's amazing. It's one of the best feelings. People coming out with their little US flags. They learn the history, they learn the language, they pass the civics test, and you were there as one of their first act as US citizen, register them to vote. It brings so much joy to me, to their family, and it propelled me to do this work. And number three, I think for us is to make it relevant for corporate, for businesses, make it something that will not only do our purpose of getting people to vote, making people getting engaged, but also for these corporates, they can do the CSR part, their social responsibility. They want to be part of it. They don't have an avenue. And a lot of y'all on this call will be the ambassador, the connector to make it make sense. You can see me, that was me like 3 years ago. I had more hair. This was 2018 September. That was, I'm based in Vegas, so you can guess that's the Caesars corporate headquarters for the Caesar Entertainment and Caesar Casinos. So we have folks that go into the back of the hotel, employee dining room for Link, for Paris, for MGM, that were in the back for the kind of the casino workers. This is in the corporate office, or like the HR folks, the marketing folks, that when they come down for their lunch, I was there like, hey, today is National Voter Registration Day. We're here to partner with Caesars to be able to collect that. But there's also other stuff too. This is really localized stuff. I see a lot of folks from very different metropolitan area, different states. Find out what makes sense to be creative, to be fun, to make sense in your state. So for us, it's Vegas. So I called up, I remember calling up a party bus that they normally do bachelor or bachelorette party. And I'm like, hey, it's the voter, this is not for voter registration, but for early vote day. Can we bring people, first-time voter from college campuses and bring them to the closest polling location? Some of you are lucky that have polling location on campus. We don't. So for us, they're like so excited. They're like, Eric, this is the first time that we're able to participate in something local. And they're like, we will make sure there's not going to be stripper pole. We'll make sure that we're going to clean out the alcohol. We're going to put it with soft drinks. And I bought a bunch of Asian snacks. That was when all the boys. What's the Netflix show? Anyway, there was the Yakult thing that was very popular. So we stock it with Yakult so people can drink it and have a nice photo op. Yes. Thanks, Julie. But yeah, for them, you know, it's like, it's sometimes it's awkward. It's a little bit cringe to ask people to like go register to vote or go turn out to vote. But it's sometimes for college kids, even for now, for me being a millennial, it's a pack thing. So if I can ask for Asian fraternity or Asian sorority on campus, that one or two people like, hey, this is cool because I'm gonna supply like party bus or like photo booth. They bring all their buddies, they'll bring all their brothers and sisters, and then now I have a dozen people in this kind of parade to the polls. And then make it fun, make it creative. You can see that when I say petting zoo, I actually meant it. So for Asian Community Development Council for the last 3 years, I have an exclusive contract with the local petting zoo. That means I have, for this one, for the upcoming one, I will have a llama with baby goats for people's votes. I want to take credit for it, but I know a lot of people have done similar things. Not a lot. I know folks in Montana have done it before, but it's just a fun thing that brings people out and also gets you the media attention. So last year in 2021, not an election year in Nevada, ACDC was the only group out of everyone, nonprofits or candidates or campaigns or political parties or any other groups. We were the only one that put it on the local news about, oh, wow, that is a lot of emails. We're the only group that was able to get local TV news to show up and talk about National Voter Registration Day because we have baby goats. And things like that, you think in a producer end or a local TV end, they want those feel-good stories. They want the stories of local nonprofits reaching out in creative ways. And then the last point I have, so my first thing is thinking about youth. A lot of you are youth, thinking about how people became ready, eligible to vote. The second point is folks like oath ceremonies, or partner with your local groups that have done the immigration work. For them, the citizenship help, it's really great avenue to do it. The number three, make it relevant, find out the corporate or businesses that you already asked for sponsorship, or for us, it's on our board. So every time we have board meeting with a lot of the corporate sponsors, we're like, hey, let us do this one day, let us do it. Number four is make it fun, make it creative, meet your communities where they are. For me, I speak Chinese, so they put me in front of 99 Wrench or Wrench 99, depending where you're from, how you say it. My Filipino staff, they go to Seafood City. We're very lucky for the small grocery stores and being able to go out and be with our community. And then last thing, I put special stuff that we can do. For me, that's like party buses. Or for Nevada, I don't know, other people are there. You might have to edit me out if you're recording and put it out. I work with local dispensaries because we have recreational cannabis use. People can smoke pot in the state of Nevada because people showed up and vote for it. It's a ballot measure. So it makes a lot of sense for me to go to dispensaries and ask them, hey, can I do a special National Voter Registration Day outside of the dispensary? They're like, amazing. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing this because people showed up and people vote. It's like one of the lowest threshold to remind people, because we were able to register to vote, we were able to show up as a community. Now we have all this amazing stuff for us. So it's a good reminder when people are like, I don't care about politics. I'm like, hey, you're here buying weed on a Tuesday. That's only possible because people showed up and voted for it. So for us, think about your local context, think about the corporate partners that you're working with. A lot of time, it's really cool. I remember it was either Lord or Taylor Swift on their campaign on the concert tour. I went to a Haim concert recently, and they have voter registration tables out there. So for artists, for music festivals, for Vegas, I think a couple months ago was Day in Vegas for the hip hop festivals. There's always now people out there registering other folks to vote. Be creative. Just for us, it's asking ourselves, asking not just, I have a puppies and boba because I'm going to dog park anyway. I'm drinking boba anyway. So these are the things that I'm going to do anyway. These are the things that me and my friends would do together anyway. Let's just add in the voter registration component. So it's not cringy of us trying to make something happen that will take a lot of effort. It's something that we know we do it every day, and things that bring us joy. Like Raymond said, make it fun, make it bring joy, and the things that we just add one more component. And for us, there's always like K-pop pop-up. I learned about cup sleeve. Apparently people have like a customized BTS cup sleeve at different tea shops. So we partner with them and we're able to order some like BTS stickers or whatever. I don't know that. Anyway, and we have so many people come and being able to check their registration or register themselves to vote. So yeah, so for my time, I'm just trying to share that it's something that we want to make it. It's the Voting Rights Act. It's not like the Voting Privilege Act. So for us is to make it as easy as possible for folks. And I know I just really emphasized on National Voter Registration Day, but for us, since we do help on the immigration side, we have National Citizenship Day. National Citizenship Day is also National Constitution Day. So check in with your like college or high school debate clubs. Sometimes they always have something special on it. And then for National Voter Registration, a National Voter Education Week, the week after, we were very fortunate too, is the closest campus here, UNLV, they have their student news program. And one of the student news reporter happened to pick up on what we're doing and did a National Voter Registration Week special for us to be on the student news. Not a lot of people watch those student news, but because of that, now the person that asked for that story is now my lead voter registration team lead. So it creates a lot of fun, a lot of collaboration, and things we're able to do that continue to bear fruit and continue to do things that really, like, sometimes I think about the thing I do, I just chuckle, be like, I can't believe people pay me. I can't believe I get paid to do my job. And it's just a lot of fun. Anyway, so that's what I wanted to share. And this is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eric, for all that really great advice and for just sharing your experiences with us. As you can see here, the opportunities and options are limitless, and you can be as creative as you'd like on any of the 4 civic holidays, not just National Voter Registration Day. And we would highly encourage all of you to participate in some way, either on your college campus or with your community organization in your local community. So definitely sign up to partner with us. We'll make sure that you get the resources to help you be successful. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop our recording here, but we are going to ask people to stick around for just a couple more minutes. And we want to open up the floor in case people have any questions or any thoughts that they want to share. So for folks joining us from the recording, thank you for coming, and let us know if you have any questions.